Earth is our mother. We must take care of her. The Earth is our mother. We must take care of her. All creation is a circle. Connected by the Mother Earth. We circle around. We circle around. The four corners of the earth. Wearing our long wing feathers. We circle around. We circle around. We circle around with all our relations.
Shuganali, hello friends. Happy to see all of you tonight. Galigia Cosquay, Dancing Heron, Dances with Death, Call Me Gail, and My ancestral Selagi homeland, Wayumi Ganaita Takiyoste, on our sacred mountain Aragul, which means helping many people. And we are the people who resisted both removal on the Trail of Tears and the reservation the federal government calls Cherokee. We resisted by hiding in these mountains, and they continue to support appropriate resistance. So I want to share that with you tonight as we begin a new series here in our Walking in the Moonlight podcast. Our series is going to be probably 7 sessions, and it's going to be about helping mend the sacred hoop. So tonight we're going to talk about what is sacred so that we have a good foundation for where we're going in this series. And then we also want to talk about why is it a hoop? There are many reasons we gather in circles. Everyone is equal in the circle. No one is above, below, behind, in front. We are all one when we come into circle. And that is our ancestral ways. So we are here to encourage understanding, depth, decolonization, removing appropriations, and really going deep into our traditional ways that we all came in with in this wave of humans, where we can reach back to our ancestors who've done their work. We don't need to know them because they know us, and they can share with us the teachings that we came in with when we gather in these ways. So we're going to begin our session tonight with acknowledgement to the music that you just heard. It was a composition that Michael DiMartino and I teamed up on. I did a drumming journey to begin the composition. It's called Earth Circles. So it is about Mother Earth and our journey as we are here with Mother Earth, passing through at this time, and so grateful to be here doing this with all of you. Our Wisdom Council has been so beautiful coming into community and really doing things like this that can truly be helpful, sharing from our heart and really coming together in community and showing you in these podcasts what community feels like and what it looks like for us. So I'm really glad to introduce this topic with the woman's ways. Women experience their maturing process in the cycles with the moon. If a woman is very deeply connected with the earth and with nature and with the moon, she will ovulate at this time of the month that we are in now, the dark fortnight, the most fertile time where the void holds true creativity and the darkness of not knowing. We're going to show you in this series the way that we get to a deep level of not knowing so that we can create something new to mend the sacred hoop. We're starting tonight with what is sacred? Why is it a hoop? Our next series will cover decolonization. We're going to go into what it is and then what it is not. And then our third session in the series, we hope to combine how is and is not can come together and create something entirely new to mend this sacred hoop that we all love dearly through our coming together and through our building of community. So we really want to encourage that and talk a little bit about the power that a woman experiences when she is in her circular cycle. In the moon time, we have a special lodge for the women who carry that power. They don't go into the sweat lodge in Ipikaga because they are already elevating their temperature, their body temperature, when they're cleansing in this way. And they also call the attention, the attraction, and the help of all the spirit helpers that we work with in our ceremonies and in our communities. So they sit in a place of honor because their prayers are heard first when they're in their moon time. And this is what is best for the community, for the connection, for the ceremony, and for the women who hold that power. And if they come into this power in a good way, when they are in their developmental stage of adolescence, then they can influence the collective and the world in a good way. And we are people of the moon, woodlands people, Salagi people, all the East Coast true red race natives are people of the woodlands people and of the moon. We came here after the people of the sun, and Hector is here with us tonight to represent the people of the sun and tell us more about those ways. And we have several people here who are going to be sharing with us tonight. So I want to first introduce SD Young Wolf, if he's ready to share. He's going to read something from Black Elk's writings about the circle and the sacredness of that circle. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, I'm SD Youngwolf. I'm a artist and a writer. I am of the Sali'i Nadagi people, otherwise known as the Texas Cherokee. And I live in Taos, New Mexico, between Taos Mountain, Taos Pueblo, and the Rio Grande River. I have followed the Red Road for some years, and it's good to talk about the unity and togetherness and shared values, culture, and spirituality of Indigenous people. That's what interests me a lot. I talk about the sacred hoop. You know, this, if you've ever seen hoop dancing, you know, that originated here, I understand, in Taos, from Taos Pueblo, the hoop dancing. But I'd like to just read this, since we're speaking of the importance of the hoop, the circle, this by Black Elk. I doubt he wrote this. This is probably taken down from his speaking. You have noticed that everything an Indian does is in a circle. And that is because the power of the world always works in circles. And everything tries to be round. In the old days, when we were a strong and happy people, all our power came to us from the sacred hoop of the nation. And so long as the hoop was unbroken, the people flourished. The flowering tree was the living center of the hoop and the hoop of the four quarters nourished it. The east gave peace and light. The south gave warmth. The west gave rain. And the north, with its cold and mighty wind, gave strength and endurance. This knowledge came to us from the outer world with our religion. Everything the power of the world does is done in a circle. The sky is round, and I have heard the earth is round, like a ball, and so are all the stars. The wind in its present power whirls, in its greatest power whirls. Birds make their nests in circles, for theirs is the same religion as ours. The sun comes forth and goes down again in a circle, and the moon does the same, and both are round. Even the seasons form a great circle in their changing and always come back again to where they were. The life of a man is a circle from childhood to childhood. And so it is in everything where power moves. Our teepees were round like the nests of birds, and these were always set in a circle. The nation's hoop, a nest of many nests, where the Great Spirit meant for us to hatch our children.
Beautiful, SD. Thank you so much. Here's an image of a hoop dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you'd like to share at this time, SD?
Could I sing a song?
Absolutely. You can always sing a song.
Yes.
Spirit flying in the sky, thunder in the ground, fire of the infinite, love is all around, wisdom of the universe, always teaching me, nature spirit singing in my heart, opening, calling me to you, only you, only you, only you, only you. Way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo. Way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo. Way ya hey ya, way ya hey ya, way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo. Eagle flying in the sky, thunder in the ground, fire of the infinite, love is all around, wisdom of the universe, Owen's teaching me, nature spirit singing in my heart, opening, calling me to you, only you, only you, only you, only you. Way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo. Way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo. Way ya hey ya, way ya hey ya, way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo. Way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo. Way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo. Way ya hey ya, way ya hey ya, way ya hey ya, way hey ya, hey yo.
Thank you, SD. Beautiful song. I believe that's an original song that SD wrote.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Hey, is there anything more you'd like to share at this time?
No, I can listen to.
Okay, well, we may make another round. So if you think
Okay.
of something, you just let us know.
All right.
And I think at this time, I'd like to invite our brother Hector to represent the people of the sun and tell us about mending the hoop in your ways.
Oh, a deep peace. Give me the feather and the opportunity to share. We all know that we come from ancestral Asian tribes, and we all know the hoops, the circles, and the cycles are round. They're not square. We don't live in that type of square house. We don't work behind a square computer. We don't eat through a square box. Our iners, our lines, they're bones, they're circles. They're always in a cycle. Like the seals that my elders use to us all the time. They're seals of circles, and where we have to understand that when we're growing up, we walk from our head to our heart, doing a half of circle, because we get mature and we learn how to love, we learn the compassion, and we keep walking all the way back to our head. That's when we are, people with knowledge and wisdom. So we close a circle. And in my tribe, in the desert, the circle is really important because represents the sun, Shak, the sun, one of the biggest energies in the top of us. Our language is descended of the Anasasis. Our cultures in the desert, they have really similar culture to the people from the south of USA tribes, like the Hopis, like the Utes, the Navajos, our brothers, the Cherokees, and most of the descendants from the Anasasis, they're still here in Chihuahua, Sonora, Baja North, and Baja South. And that's why we're keeping this knowledge. And I would love to know if my brother Michael DiMartino can send you the link so you can share this musical video that we do a few years ago with one of the biggest elders, Chapito Barnett, from the Sonora culture and the tribe, and where they make this song in the language, translate into Spanish and to English, so everybody can understand this pray, because our songs are praise like all of our cultures. And these sacred prayer, they're from one family and now is in YouTube. And we would love to share with you, brothers and sisters, to hear this song in where one of the pop artists is in Mexico trying to learn the language from Chapito, and he's trying to tell them, hey, sing it with power. Sing your songs with power. Más fuerza. So I would love to know, Michael, brother, if you can help me to share this video that I just sent you through your WhatsApp, so my brothers and sisters can understand a little more about what the hoops, the circles, the cycles are for us. The sacred symbols are still there in the desert, and they're the same of everybody.
Yes, I just put it into the chat. So if Pamela could share that and share the screen, we can all listen. And we just want to make sure you also enable the sound, please, Pamela and Gail. Good to see you, hermano.
Que es hombre de poder. Habla con gran poder, mucha energía, mucho poder, mucho poder. Saga no cueque en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya. Tai tonta me pesco tom en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya. Saga no cueque en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya. Tai tonta me pesco y tome en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya, saga no cueque en joyaya.
Shaga no puede que
Beautiful example, Hector, of passing tradition from the elders to the current culture in a very, very honoring way. And the images are amazing. I'm so happy that we can share our music as part of this presentation tonight, because it is our connection to the unseen world and our tradition and so much. Do you want to speak more about that, Hector? Is there anything more you want to say at this time?
Thank you. Ajatipi made me remember all the path that everybody is been passing through. Not even just the Mexican tribes. I'm talking about the brothers from all the way up to Alaska to all the way down to Chile. All the generations, all the cultures, all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the secrets, and keeping sacred situations in where we're being involved, like myself. And I feel proud and really grateful with the great spirit and the great mystery. They always give us the right people, the right tools, the right elements to keep with these prophecies, situations, and carriers. So now that we are the new generations, I mean, I'm 42 years old. I'm considering myself, part of the sixth generation. I'm not from the seventh one, but I'm kind of like teaching a little bit the elders in my tribes, in my community, in where they have to be like a little flexible and bendable to be connected with the modernity, with the technology. Now that we have this song through the tribe to the people, and this sacred song that everybody can know about the guardian, the spirit from the cape, because Chak is the sun, but Chakanakweke is the guardian in the cape behind the sun. And normally for our culture and our regular translation, it's one of our star being brothers, the brothers who are being there all the time with us. We call them Hanat Kwatoch. And the Hanat Kwatoch, they're those brothers who are being all the time, from times and times, with us all the time, teaching us how we have to build this path together, of course, with the humanity through the interdimensional doors, through the situations in where we have these places for gatherings and different tribes. So I love to share this with you, brothers and sisters. We have more material, more videos, more situations to keep sharing. But more than this, we are developing educational filming in Mexico that we call elders, abuelos, in where we are filming the elders, the leaders, of communities, the headdresses ones who represents different needs like us. So we're getting this in the way where everybody can be united. We're part of different prophecies. You name it, White Buffalo, Raven Warriors, Condor Eagle Quetzal. I don't know. There are many, many, many prophecies we are getting involved in. I'm carrier of one of the prophecies here in Mexico. You might know the prophecies of the crystal skulls, right, brothers and sisters? So we are guardians of that, and we want to share to everybody around the world that it's not just a legend and a prophecy. So that's why I'm here. I don't want to take too much the feather. I'm really grateful that I can share and listen and learn and keep connected, because this is what I am doing here. I'm extension of my people. I'm extension of the great spirit and the great mystery to keep connecting, and of course making this situation for everybody in the first way sustainable, and in the second way educable and intercultural changes for the good of everybody. Ahatip, Ankai Kimeshmasa. Mitakuri.
Ahatipi. Hector, thank you so much. And we show you, as we proceed in this way, the balance between the sun and the moon, and the sacredness of the symbols, the images, the language of the dreams, language of our soul, as we share in our traditional ways with our songs and honor the elders and the passing of those traditions. So at this time, Patricia, would you like to share with us from Brazil?
Hello, everyone. I'm very honored to be here with all of you. I feel very touched. I'm from Bolivia originally, but live in Brazil for many years. So both of them are part of my traditions. but I also have had experience with the Toltecs in Mexico, Hector. And I've carried that within me for decades now. When I met first Carlos Castaneda, but I read his books when I was a little girl, a young girl. And I finally met him and follow that to this day. And I brought to Brazil the tensegrity, the magical passes, and I keep that very close, this tradition of the Toltecs. I also want to share that I have danced in Bolivia for the Sun Moon dance, and now I'm on the fourth Eagle dance here in Brazil, brought from the traditions of North America here to South America, the eagle and the condor. And just in a few days, I'll be doing the eagle dance here. You know, it's a 4-day dance that you dance, you know, all in a circle to the tree. And we do that for 4 full days. And I'll be doing that for the 4th time here in Brazil, but I've done it in Bolivia. But what I want to share is that comes to me that came when Esty the other day was reading a text, and I said, oh, this is something that I want to share, even though it's kind of separate from what we're talking here, but it came just like that, because I also am very open to what arrives, you know, and the Taoism, which is on the other side of the world from where I am, crossed my path, and I've said, you know, this talks to me. It's like there's a synchronicity and integration, you know, of the people from China that came across to Mexico and brought this tradition as well. And, you know, and here I am as a teacher also in this area of inner alchemy of Taoism. And when we were talking about the sacred hoop, all of a sudden I saw within ourselves the sacred. Like, here's my temple. I have this temple inside my body that I have to care for. And we just, you know, forget about it. And it's a circle. The way the Taoists observed nature and saw what was out there is within us. The elements, everything is within us. And this tradition, I feel, is so close to what I've been carrying through the Toltecs and my own tradition. My mother was a Mapuche. So, I mean, everything integrates. So I'm going to share a little bit about our inner temple, this hoop inside of us, this circle within us, which is amazing, because if we understand that each organ of us, you know, starting from our, let's say from our, down here, from our kidneys and our sexual parts is the element water, you know, and then this water is going to nurture my, on the right side, my liver, which is wood. And then my wood is going to light up the fire in my heart. That in itself on the, will go to the other side, to the left side, and becomes earth. And then we have metal in our lungs. And why am I talking about this? Because it's a circle of one nurturing the other within us. Our organs are all related. And if this circle is interrupted, if there's too much water, I'm going to put out my fire. If there's too much wood, I'm going to fire everything out, and so on. So it's a perfect circle hoop that we have within us, in our sacred temple, which is our bodies, our house, our home. Down here in our tummies, you know, is it's like the basic machinery that's there, our batteries, you know. So when I learned this many years, about 20 years ago, I started to practice it, you know, and look at this circle, you know, of the how one element nurtures the other one, just like when we're talking about the sun, the water on the east, the north, the west, the south, you know, how things move in perfect order when the sun rises and it goes to the high, and then it goes to the west, and then it goes rest. The same thing happens to our body within us. So I wanted to share that so that we honor deeply our sacred temple within us. And there's so many practices related to it. And what else can I say about this? The other loop, sacred hoop we have is our microcosmic. When we're born, it goes around from, from the bottom up our backs to our head and through the front. I'm not going to get into details about it, but it's a circle that is going. And when we get stuck with certain things, it doesn't flow, it doesn't move. And we're talking about how do we get into this movement of fluidity, of moving the energy again, which has gotten stuck along our lives through the domestication, socialization. The other thing that the Taoists talk about are the emotions that each organ, has. There's so much to talk about it, but it's so clear to me after these years that I can only have compassion if I have transmuted my anger, my fear, all these other emotions that get stuck in our different organs. And Mother Earth transmutes everything. When we do our cleansing, we put it down to Mother Earth, spiral it in, and then it comes back, like adobo. How do you say that in English? For planting, it's perfect. It's not evil, good or bad, it's negative or positive, that is happening within us. So to me, it's such a beautiful tradition, which I integrate very much with the Toltec tradition as well, and other traditions that I respect solely. But the hoop, the circle, is the basis of everything. How that moves, how we interrupt its fluidity is what we get stuck in. Even planet Earth, has, a circle going through it. And I heard some masters, Taoist masters, saying that there's one spot in our circle through the earth, like the microcosmic, that gets stuck. And you know where it is? In the Palestinian area, that for ages it's been with conflicts. And if that doesn't get healed, something will, we don't move. So I thought that was interesting, to know that from their point of view, in the planet Earth, there's one spot, and that's in the region of Gaza, Palestinian area, that is a very sacred place that it got stuck. Just like our circle in our own bodies, where it gets stuck, and we go research, we'll find out what's going on and how we can dissolve it, have it move, and we feel it in our bodies, the movement of the circle. So, I mean, that's something, a little drop to share about how everything integrates in these circles and these hoops. That was brought up by Michael, that I thought, oh my gosh, this is a great mystery that we need to come closer and closer and see how we can have it move. So that for now. And I live in this beautiful place in nature in Chapada Diamantina, which it's amazing, the guardians that I have here, that I talk to them almost every day, because I told them I don't own this place. I'm a guardian of this place. And I see the sunrise, and it goes to the midday, and then I go say goodnight and go rest. Everything is in movement. So thank you. Thank you for listening and this sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. That's beautiful. Yeah. So sweet that we can all share in these ways in our experiences.
Direct experience, not talking or reading about, where you feel it within, and you feel it move, circular. That's it. Okay, thank
That's it. Yeah. Thank you, Patricia. And Lenny, would you like to share with us at this time? Tell us a little about yourself and
I
your
will.
thoughts on
I'll
it.
share about myself towards the end. Um, really love what Patricia just shared because it is so true. The hoops and the sacred circle and the traditions that have been kept that way, it's all cyclic. It's all that. She spoke of the, the inner energy that flows between us, how it's all a cycle. But the hoop is like just the center that we talked about. That center is us, but it's the center of everything. In Mi'kmaq, we call it Imsinugama. It means we're all related. It's all where we come from. It's not where we come from. It's all of everything because there is no separation between it. But we can think of, we're going to go forward. We got 7 sessions going forward. We're going to talk about many things. And a lot of these things are going to be controversial to a lot of people. And that's because there isn't that connectedness. There's the separation. Like if your body gets sick because you're out of balance, like Patricia was just talking about, or, like there's lots of things like, we think of what's above, it's the same as below. So for the First Nations people, that was all integral. They lived with that nature, but they didn't just live with it. They didn't just see it. They didn't just have it reflect. The whole way they thought and experienced the world was so different. So I can tell you some things like above, below. What do you see when you see that? The 4 directions, the seasons. So you see fall, you see winter. What does that mean? How do you envision that? Time, what is time? Is it something that starts now and goes forward? First Nations people, it was the living earth. It was the biological. That's what was time to them. It was completely different on how we see it. Giving, sharing. First Nations people, it's what you give and what you share, not what you accumulate and take. These are all part of the root teachings. The 4 nations are in there, white, red, yellow, black, because we're not separate. We're all in the same. So when we talk about these things, when I talk about the sky, what do you see? Do you see the sky? Do you see the clouds? Well, First Nation language, the Mi'kmaq language that I know just a few words of, those are my teachings here that I've been taught. For sky, it's, the color blue is sky. We don't think of blue, we think of sky, the sky. What's the sky? Well, that's the sun too, but it's a bluing, it's a becoming of that color. So we think of that as that flow, that motion that Patricia was talking about. It's not a stopping and a starting anywhere. It's all that complete motion. There's a little quote I like to say, so it's more like a worldview. So I invite you to think about how you view the world. If we look at it as right and wrong, well, then we have right and wrong. If we look at it as a circle and a flow, well, that's a healing we have in ourselves. That's a balance we have to bring things back to. That's really what we're trying to do here, I believe, in talking about the circle, is how do we mend that hoop? How do we mend those things that is joined amongst us? How do we bring it back together so we're coming from wholeness? So the hoop is also the spiritual, the physical, the emotional, and the mental. That's what makes up our body. Some of us speakers tonight have talked about parts of that, but it's all connected. And why are women so powerful? Well, who nurtures the spirit first? Where does our spirit come into the world? That woman nurtures it, brings it into being for that whole 9 months before it even comes. And why in First Nations do women, even through the first few years of a child's life, why is it with the mother? Because it has that spiritual connection. The mother is teaching it the spiritual ways of life. That's part of the imbalance we have. We tend to go to the physical and the mental more, there's the earth, there's our thoughts, or then you bring in the emotions. But we've lost so much of that spiritual aspect. What does that really mean? That's the connectedness to all things. How do we connect to things? So there's a grandfather. This is from John Jador. He said that when they first discovered the Mi'kmaq people, the settlers, the Europeans said, all the words that they spoke flowed in harmoniously. It was likened to the animals communicating, the rivers flowing, and the wind piercing the moss hanging from the trees. Because everything flowed, even the way they spoke. Everything was connected to everything around it. There was no separation of things. These days, our languages are being lost. That way of picturing the world is being lost. That way of where everything is in motion. Everything is a verb. It's not a noun. In Mi'kmaq, they have the animate and the inanimate. Everything has life. They actually assign life to different things because it's all part of how they view the world. And because they're being lost, one thing his grandfather said is, you know, the words are still in the bogs and on the branches. They kept the language because that is where the language comes from. It comes from our natural surroundings. It comes from how we walk. It comes from the stars. Their language was in motion, always speaking of those things that flow between us, flow amongst them. We have a little story, and it's really, I found it fitting because it's called Moon and the Seven Bird Hunters. Moon and the Seven Bird Hunters is actually the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper. The Little Dipper makes a hand and it goes up. But there's these circumpolar stars that go around the North Star. And they disappear up here in the north, they disappear below the horizon. And this is just an example how they some First Nations here view the world. So that dipper goes below, that end of the handle represents the seven birds. And those birds are hunters. They're hunting Moon. Moon's the bear. The bear. So as it goes through spring, what's spring? Well, spring is the time of now. It soon will be now. This is the moon of the blinding sun moon, because the light reflects and blinds us. That's the time now. It's not February, it's not January. It's that time where we experience that light being reflected back. And of course, that light is life-giving, it's energy, but it can be blinding too. It's all part of that. So the story goes that the birds chase Moon. And if you look at the circumpolar stars, Moon goes like this, which starts the spring, but then when it gets to the end, it's upside down. Moon is upside down. And what does Moon do in the winter? He hibernates. He's in his den. It's reflected in the stars, in the stories. Every star that they mention in the story is actually represented by a big sun, small sun, and the birds are big birds or small birds. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole story. You can find it online. I can give you the connections. But basically, the hunter chases around, and robin is one of the birds. And as the robin kills Moon, the bear, when they finally catch up, when all the other stars are below the horizon, there's 3 birds left. And what happens? The blood splatters all over the robin. And when the robin lands, it splatters on the trees. And that's why the trees up here turn colors and turn red in the winter, because that's what happened. So that's the time of fall. That's the time of that cycle. It's all reflected in the movement. And then what happens? Well, Moon was killed. They share the feast of Moon. They share it with each other because that's what we do. We share what we take. We share what we give. And then what happens to Moon? New life comes into Moon in the spring. That is the time up here at the end of the last moon in January, we have what we call our bear feast, because we have to give thanks for the new life coming into Moonlight. That is a time of reflection. It's a time of ceremony. It's a time of healing, giving healing to the community, recognizing the community needs healing. That's all part of the cycle. So if you saw any of that as being separate, or if you saw, the stars as being something we see out there, that's not what we're trying to get you to think. We're trying to get you to realize that's all one and the same. It's all Msinukama. It's all part of the whole cycle of everything. I want to tell you a little bit about me, because you probably wonder, who am I? Well, I'm a spirit. I'm a spirit that's been put into a body. And how did my journey begin? Where does it come from? Well, I'll share a little personal story of how this became meaningful to me, the hoop, and how the hoop works. I was in the outback of Australia. One of my hobbies is to go look for petroglyphs and pictographs and carvings on the rocks and pictures on the rocks. And I was in the Eastern McDonald's, which is, if you know the outback, that is nowheres. It's the opposite direction from Uluru, which is the sacred areas. But I just felt that's a place I should go because there's going to be no tourists. Nobody who's crazy enough to go sit in, 100-degree heat in the middle of outback desert type land. And there's this little valley there. It's a riverbed, but it's dry now because these gum trees know how to put their roots down deep and get substances. Again, it's the hoop, it's the cycle. They know how to complete that. But anyway, it was really hot and whatever. And, thinking with my brain is, oh, it's hot, I should find some shade. And, so I went and sat down. There's just a little wee small water hole. I just sat there. And all of a sudden, it's like, it was too hot to think. It was too hot to worry about anything else about my body. So I just sat there. And all of a sudden, these birds came. And they started coming in different ways. Some would swoop down and scoop up the water. Some would land beside it, hobble in, take a little drink. There was many different ways that the birds came. But the lesson to me was, I was just sitting there, becoming one with nature, becoming one, balancing all those physical and spiritual and mental and emotional states of myself. And I balanced them sitting there. Did I know I was balancing them? No, I was just sitting there quietly. Some people call it meditation. To me, I was just too hot to do anything. So I was in a kind of different state, sitting there. And what did it teach me? Well, I got up to go as I don't know how long I sat there. I just know that the shadows were getting longer. And so I got up to leave. And I had been in this canyon for 3 or 4 days now. And I had looked everywhere to find a petroglyph or a pictograph. Do you think I could? Nope, no way. So I was walking along and all of a sudden, one of the birds came back and swooped into a canyon wall. I said, well, there's no way I didn't see it leave. So I went to see if it got hurt or what happened to it. And there were these pictographs. There were these pictures plain in the state I was looking for. Wow. And then I walked a little bit long after I looked at them. And another bird came back, one of the other ones, and it swooped into a different part of the canyon wall and disappeared. So, oh, there's more pictographs, let's go. But like as Hector said, caves are sacred. Here was this cave, holding the sacredness. And I, crawled into the cave a little bit and that. And in the cave, there was this staff when I reached towards it. And this energy, just overpowerful energy, said, no, you're not supposed to touch this. You're not ready to take this kind of energy. This energy isn't for you. So what's all it mean? Well, to me, it was simple. Because spiritual is part of life. It is connected to the animals. It's connected to these birds. It's connected to all my emotions, to my spirit, to my physical, to my mental. If I don't balance those things, these things won't happen because I'll be out of balance. I won't see them. So that's what we're trying to do. So where does that come from me? Well, I recognize that. I recognize nature isn't separate from me. It's very much part of everything, of who I am, of what the world is about. So I started, I had some friends here and I started following First Nations, which I was interested in before, but never really entered into it. So my nature was my teacher. The earth was my teacher. The birds was my teacher. The spirits were my teacher. I call them spirit guides, those little birds. They were my teachers. So I did go on and I sun danced and that, but I am not Mi'kmaq. I am not native. I am just a soul that followed the teachings of the wheel. And I've been blessed with ceremony. I've been blessed to carry a pipe. I've been blessed with different things because my elders offered that to me. So that's the teaching of the wheel. How can we bring that together? Thank you.
Thank you, Lenny. What a beautiful experience to share with us. And Michael, would you like to wrap us up? Share with us at this time, please. Is this a good time, Michael?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can't see you,
Okay.
but we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm going to come on camera. I was just
Good.
taking in all of this this wisdom and insight, and just kind of feeling all of that, not through the mind, but through my heart. And so I just want to start by acknowledging this group of people, wisdom carriers, wisdom keepers, wisdom sharers, and members of the Grandmother Council for the commitment to show up weekly and whenever possible to have these really authentic dialogues and insights into life and really into wisdom. And I think what's really helped inspire a lot of that is because we do see a lot of things happening in the world right now that I think we all agree need to be illuminated and to shed some light. And a lot of that comes from, as Lenny and many were saying, from nature's intelligence. This is not anything we're making up here on the spot. We're not here debating or divisive about our different approaches or methodology, that we've actually have been able to very organically form a hoop and establish a very deeply connected community of individuals with wisdom. And wisdom is not just information, right? We can all go online and we can look at words and stuff, but I think what's amazing is this group, many carriers of specific traditions and wisdom, are all walking their talk and their truth. So it's really been a great honor. I really appreciate our brother Hector being here from Mexico, and the amazing bridge that he is between elders and tradition, and also carrying that forward in a very respectful way that doesn't steal or appropriate or all the things that we see right now, which I feel injures the sense of the sacred. It kind of, many things in these days are being exploited or even commercialized. So I know we're going to talk about that in the future. And I really appreciate seeing Patricia here from Brazil, our sister, who is an amazing woman and grandmother and a carrier of wisdom of many traditions. And also SD, Young Wolf, who I got to visit recently in Taos, who not only carries traditional wisdom, but I got to know more that he's really traveled around the world and has worked with and woven through many different luminaries, many that many people around the world would know of, going back to really the 60s, and some of the people that were really part of that zeitgeist moment and the kind of eruption of consciousness through civil rights and human rights, and again the American Indian movement resurgence, our consciousness, music, everything really just kind of took off. And of course, Lenny, and of course, Grandmother Gail, who's really been able to nurture this soup and this coming together of all of us on a weekly basis. And of course, all the work that she does. So, speaking to the topic, mending the sacred hoop, we do know that this is going to be a series. And I thought it was very apropos, as in our last council, to talk about, things like what is the hoop? What does it potentially symbolize in our various traditions, but also, again, exploring common ground as opposed to being involved in a debate of whose tradition is more right or wrong, and these types of things, like Lenny was saying. And also the idea of sacred, which I'm really looking forward to the deeper discussion, because I have to say, I'm not like the say all of what is sacred and what's not, but the level of sacrilege I see in the appropriation and misuse, and the commodification, and the stealing and ripping off of things from many great teachings and traditions and elders without maintaining that lineage of respect. Like Lenny was saying, he has been gifted certain spiritual responsibilities and insights because he has a respect and a reverence for the elders and the keepers of these traditions. And I think it's something that has been lost in a lot of ways. But then we have people like Hector and others who are from younger generations, who are really doing things in the right way to shed light on, well, this is the appropriate way to do things that's respectful. And, when we do things in this way, it really reflects through every aspect of what we do in our life, the way we talk, the way we communicate. But so I just wanted to share a little insight on the future. And, for me, the hoop is so many things, but what I really appreciate, so many prophecies and traditions right now are talking about the hoop, or the seventh generation, the sacred fire, the eagle, the condor, the quetzal. And I mean, there's so many things that are coming together. To me, all of these are important fibers within the weaving of this bigger collective hoop that all of humanity is part of, and working on, or working very consciously against. I mean, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation, and it's sad, but there's a lot of beings and people with other interests, and to see humanity fulfill its spiritual potential and really to come together. What I would say is Mataka Yasin, from some of the Lakota people I worked with, which we all are related, and that all life is sacred and we're all connected, all of our relations. So in the hoop, for me, we have so many things. We have the elementals, we have human beings, we have the animals, we also have the plant nation, and as our brother Hector was saying, space beings, whether we believe or not, but I think it's pretty obvious at this point, there's many other civilizations that have been here at Earth at various times through this kind of cycle of rise and fall of many civilizations. We have the invisible world of beings we can't see, ancestral energies and beings. We also have, the hoop of our family, the hoop of honoring grandparents, of parents, and of children. So again, when I think of hoop, I think of all these things. And of course, for me, being around the tradition, but not being someone who claims to be anything within the tradition out of respect, I think of the medicine wheel and what Lenny was speaking about, of red, black, white, and yellow. I'm not sure if Pamela wants to share that image that I shared. I'm not pontificating that this is ultimate truth or part of the truth, but I think it's a symbol that will kind of trigger something with human beings about, when I look at the medicine wheel, the sacred hoop, I see many nations represented, and directions. So, for me, this was something that came up that, again, I won't speak too much to. There's much better people here, versed in tradition, I think, that can speak about that. But what I would like to speak about, if she could show the wheel of regeneration or the hoop of regeneration, because what I can speak about is, as someone who has traveled the world, and I say that with humility as a student, not like I travel the world and, you know, um, but, I've come in contact with many different traditions. When I think of the sacred hoop of the wheel, I think of the Dharma wheel from Buddhism. And it within the Dharma wheel, it symbolizes many things like the body of these teachings, the community, this idea of how we all come together. But I think something that I can speak to, and I know Hector and I talk about this a lot, he's doing amazing work. Not only is he a spiritual being, but he's also working directly with the environment and helping to do sustainability work in alignment, and respect out of tradition, indigenous wisdom and cultures in Mexico, is the wheel of regeneration. So when I think about, again, the hoop, of course, I think about the solar system and the sun. I think about the circle of, depending on what people believe, of birth, life, death, and the ability to be reborn or reincarnated. Like, all these things are hoops, circles within circles. But then again, they're all part of this big sacred hoop. And I would say, when we look at an image of the hoop, sometimes it looks flat on the screen, but we know that the hoop is probably 5D, that it goes in the 7 sacred directions: left, right, above, below, and front, behind. And also, like Pachi was saying from Brazil, it goes within. So, the hoop is not something flat or stagnant. It's a living understanding, and I think a philosophy and a wisdom that we really, and this is why I think we all kind of chose this topic, we really need to um, enlighten people about the meaning of the hoop, um, and to share traditional wisdom and understanding so people can see how that reflects and helps them with their understanding. But if we go back to the wheel of regeneration, for me, growing up in the colonial education system, everything in school was separated. Like, you have arts, or you're going to be an artist, you're going to be a scientist, you're going to work with math, you're going to do something vocational, work with wood or metal. But what I like about this hoop is it really brings in all the different aspects of what I would say the life experience, and the importance. And this is a big part of what I do, with Earthstock Foundation, is we have to look at the connection and the interconnectedness and the interdependence of each other, of life. And again, not humans, just humans, animals, everything, to work together in a holistic way so that we can mend the sacred hoop and we can achieve our highest spiritual potential here on this incredible planet called Mother Earth, or Gaia, which is also living. So within that, all these pieces come to minds that they have to work together as a holistic or whole system, which is, again, spirituality, of course, the importance of arts and culture, the importance of also looking at things like peace and justice, of course, the environment, and in even getting into more contemporary topics like media. Like, media, I don't like media, corporate media. But we have to admit, even today, being on this call, that we communicate and we put out messaging and we can reach a lot of people through media. So how do we use media as a positive tool, not for propaganda or brainwashing or pushing a certain political agenda, or for consumerism, but how do we use the media as a tool to enhance the wisdom and the understanding of the interconnectedness of humanity, but also all of these things. Of course, we have to look at other things like education. I won't go into the whole story, but I'm sure most of us are aware of the horror of colonialism and what happened here on Turtle Island, with the education and indoctrination of a lot of indigenous children. So, even to this day, there's a lot of narratives and history and story that's wrong, that has to be brought to light. So the idea of someone being educated, and then, you know, people always kind of grimace when I say economics, but when I say economics, it's not just a fiat dollar of a green piece of paper with a dead president on it. It's actually the idea of sacred reciprocity. It goes more into the indigenous, the idea of energy equity, like, you know, that could be bartering system, that could be trading, but how do we, you know, in a world full of, I think it's something like, you know, 5% of humanity owns 90 something percent of the wealth. How do we come to this idea of sacred reciprocity and economics and energy equity so that we can all have what we need, especially around food and housing security, and how can we offer our skill sets to barter and trade and support others in what they might need. And this to me, and I'll be very brief here as I get to the end, because I know we do want to open it up for last minute thoughts and conversation. I think what's happened is here in the colonial system, everyone has been divided. Everyone is like going by the Darwinian teachings of survival of the strongest, not survival of which nature teaches us of the most collaborative. And there's very few that have everything plus more, and there's a lot of people that are the have-nots. So, you know, how do we find a system where we're not so isolated, we're not so divided and divisive? How do we bring our gifts to the sacred hoop? How do we find sacred reciprocity? And for me, this is such a big issue of mending the sacred hoop. You know, whether you're a ceremonialist, whether you work in medicine and health, whether you work with education or philosophy or media, or even people who work with technology right now who are trying to help us combat some of the damage we're doing to the planet. I mean, I'm very optimistic, but it's so heartbreaking when we see the amount of self-servingness and self-centeredness at the cost of us having clean water, clean air, and even clean food, good, healthy food that's not a product of the petrochemical industry. So again, um, still for me, this is an area of the sacred hoop I'm very passionate about. And of course, under spirituality and the idea of indigenous wisdom, of indigenous land stewardship, this is such an important part of what we're missing. And we're starting to find right now in some parts of the world, they are starting to do some level of reconciliation and reciprocity with indigenous communities, but we're a far cry from having that kind of equilibrium and balance. So that's what I'd like to contribute today. And again, I know we want to open it up, but you know, the hoop is all creation. And thank you, Pamela, for showing that image. Uh, Everyone is part of the hoop, but within the hoop, there's different frequencies, tribes, and clans. And even though I'm connected with many beings, there's some beings that I don't want to have to contend with. And that's where we get into the whole idea of quantum physics and vibration and frequency. So I'm very honored to be here today with a very authentic, compassionate, wise group of people to share more understanding about the sacred hoop to move us back to a place of healing. Because the alternative is is not pretty, and it seems like we're quickly moving towards self-destruction. So again, I'm very positive, but let's not fool ourselves of the importance of bringing back, mending the sacred hoop, and restoring the sacred in a good way. And that means educating. Like Lenny said, some people might not be comfortable, but we're going to do some schooling here about things that are maybe far from sacred.
Thank you so much, Michael, and we're all grateful to you for bringing us together in this beautiful way and supporting us as counsel in the ways that you do. So we are wrapping it up at this time with an opportunity to make any final brief comments that anyone would like to share. You're welcome to just open your mic and speak, anyone who would like to.
I just wanted to say that the mushroom people, the mycelial network, wanted to be included in the sacred hoop too. the webbing of the forest's intelligence. So
That's beautiful, Michael. My birch sap is on the stove right now. The hurricane brought down some big birch trees, and I noticed just yesterday that they were oozing this sweet, delicious sap. So I put my bucket under there, and I've got about a quart of sap that I'm cooking down into the sweetest syrup as we gather in this way. So everybody come in with your comments or anything that you'd like to share, and then we'll wrap it up with a song.
I would like to say it's a pretty good looking group of people. I don't know if Pamela wants to do a gallery view for the closing, so we can see everyone. I want to thank Pamela too for her support. She really is an extremely important part of the hoop and the help of this happening.
Yes, she is. Thank you so much, Pamela, for working so hard to keep things working and keeping us going, keeping us sharing from our heart, all of us. Yeah, SD, just open your mic and share whatever you want to. Oops, we can't hear you yet. Try that mic again.
Okay. Is that all right?
That's it. You got it.
Okay. So just a few closing things to say. You had talked about the sacred hoop, and we talked about what the hoop is, and he was thinking about what makes it sacred. What is sacred? And someone once asked me, "What do you want? What do you want in life?" And I said to live in a sacred way. And they said, "What does that mean? How do you live in a sacred way?" And, I could say a lot of things around that. It's like, be aware of what I'm doing, do things with love. And at one point I realized that, these traditional teachings that have been passed down to us have that. It's like a map that, and there's the people who've gone there before us. And to me, it's those 7 sacred virtues: love, respect, humility, honesty, courage, generosity, and wisdom. And it's really an amazing system how that was laid out, because each one of those things has an animal that represents it, and the teaching goes very deep. But in my travels in the world, I've had a consuming interest in indigenous cultures, and not just Native American, but throughout the world there are indigenous people. Indigenous means a lot more than just coming from a certain place, or that your ancestors came from a certain place. It's a way of life, and I think indigenous peoples have this in common. They share a lot of these things, that we have so much that we share in our traditions, and we have faced the same problems in the modern world. But when I went to India on a tour where I wanted to spend time with some of the indigenous tribes of that area, it started with a conference called the Janjati Faith and Culture Conference. There was a coming together of these tribes, mostly of the northeast area of India, And they had a big banner that said, "Our culture is our way of worship." And wow, that really struck me so much, because they were there and each of them had their own ways, their own dances, their own culture, their own way of dress, but they came together and sharing and love. It was a very beautiful thing to see. And so then when I met with all these different tribes and shared with them my own culture, it was accepted so beautifully. It was so much appreciated. And so in coming in contact with people in different cultures, they have these basic values in common that are really in contrast to what is going on in the so-called civilized world. So I decided that a very important thing for me, to whatever extent I can do it, is to build bridges, not walls. That, I think that is what is greatly needed. That we build bridges between our cultures, not put up barriers. So I've heard people say that all religions go to the same place. And I've never been able to quite agree with that, because different religions have their own descriptions of where they would like to go. Usually heaven worlds or different things. But what it came to me is that that's true if we meet in the heart, and that's where we should all meet. So, if I may, I'd like to sing a song to close.
Yes, please. Beautiful. Thank you, SD. Thank you all so much.
And if I may, Grandmother Gail, I just received a message from Adam, who they just finished the gathering of ancestors in Guatemala, and he sends his blessings. We all know Adam's doing a lot of work with eagle, condor, and quetzal, so he is here in spiritual presence in our sacred hoop. And I know also our brother Hector was willing to offer a song if he could from Mexico. And thank you.
Please.
You there, Hector?
Yeah, Hector.
So I just want to remind to the Great Spirit that we are here all united for one simple reason. It's because we are on the same path. So we know the situations around the world is been getting everybody connected. So I'll make the call for elders, for new generations, for my brothers and sisters to get together and empower our own communities, our own movements, our own tribes to be together, not together in gatherings because we're already doing that. We're doing every single day. Together with intercultural changes, together with projects, with sustainable projectations that we can work together through nations through nation. For example, here in Mexico, we have this new possibility to start working with hemp. And I know Canadian communities, like Central American communities, and all over around the world, a lot of indigenous communities own seeds. So that's in where we can start working together, start making those bridges, like what our brother John Wolf say, be those bridges in where we can intercultural change our knowledge, our seeds. And Mexico is seeking for seeds of hemp or kenaf, another type of hemp, to start building the projectations in Mexico to help the communities and the certificate the desert, regreen all the desert. So too much talking and a lot of action in the last years. And I know my brothers and sisters are here for one simple reason, to keep connecting and keep putting our hearts on our hands. And we know that when we put our heart on our hands, we walk barefoot. So that's why I want to do ofrenda of a song to my brothers and sisters. This song, we sing it when situations happens. People call them miracles. We call them calls, or we call them, situations of synchronicity. But we have a specifically song for that situation when good things or miracle happens. And for me, it's a miracle that we are all together here because I know that all of us, we are busy. All of us, we have different paths. And it's not a coincidence that we are here. It's a consequence because our spirits are trying to get together and get to one single point, unite. How do we going to do it? Let's figure it out. But in the meantime, let's say thank you to the Great Spirit, to the big brothers, to our souls and our tribes. And this song that my elders give it to me, I want to give it to you, brothers. If I sing it one time, it's because I want you to listen. If I sing it two times, it's because I want you to repeat it on your mind, on your heart, on your voice. If I sing it three times, it's because it's gonna belong to you. And if I sing it four times, it's because next time that I see you, you have to sing that song to me and belongs to you. A mi menoaya is a song. A mi meno. A mi the sky. Meno, the middle plane where we all of us. Aya, the let's say the infraworld plane. A mi menoaya, when the sky and the lands get together and this astral plane here. This is when the miracles happens. A mí me no yo, a mí me tanokia, a mí me tanokia, mantiqueque, a mí me no yo llama, a mí me no Habimetanokia, Habimetanokia, Mantikwekeya, Hamimenongyam, Hamimenoya, Hamimetanokia. Ami metanokia mantigüekeya ami menongyama ami menoaya ami metanokia ami metanokia mantigüekeya ami menongyama. Ahatipi, brothers and sisters. Ami menoaya on your hearts. When the sky and the lands get together, that's where we are to make those miracles. So that's why we are considered those warriors, the rainbow warriors from different colors and different ways. I love you, brothers and sisters. Ahatipi.
Ahatipi, Hector, beautiful, beautiful way to close us, balancing the sun and the moon, and mending the sacred hoop, which will be our miracle to make as we come together in these series of 7 offerings to all of you from all of us. Until again.